What is going on, Simpler Team? Let me just get my screens pulled up. We got a great presentation to go over today. All right. Ooh, sorry about that. There it is. So just give me 1 second. We're getting set up here. My name is Mike, for those of you guys that don't know. Mike Teeto, aka Maverick Mike, I also like to call myself. So let me get 1 second to get started up. Let me get the March Madness song going. That time of the year. All right. So I think I am good all around. There it is. What is going on, team? How is everybody doing out there? What's up, Simpler community? Like I stated earlier, my name is Mike Teeto, aka Maverick Mike, and today I'll be reviewing my first quarter, aka I guess the best trades in the first quarter. I'll show you guys pretty much my full first quarter. I'll go through it just in a glance view. But then we'll dive into some great trades. I actually have 3 trades that I wanted to highlight together that I think all of us will be able to learn from. But it's been an amazing start to the new year. From January 1st until today, we are reaching just over 23K in profits, and that's starting with an account at $7,500. So tripling that account to start the new year, great way to start a brand new year, and especially with the ugly times that we've been dealing with in this last month. So today, what I'm going to review with you guys is we're going to go over my favorite wins of this first quarter. And it's pretty funny because my favorite wins all come from the same sector. So if you've never heard about what I do as a trader, if you've never heard of me before, I'll give you a quick little rundown. I'm a small cap trader. I usually trade momentum, and I'm pattern based only. So I really only trade 5 Oh, we're back. I truly apologize for that, guys. 1 second. Boom. We are back. I apologize about that, guys. For some reason, my internet just cut out for a second, but we're back. All right, so let's get back into our week of trading here. Let me make sure I'm back all across the board. But we are back. So let's dive into my first quarter of trading. Like I was saying earlier, my biggest wins all came from the same sector. Now, I am pattern-based trading, so most of my trades, my wins, come from the same pattern. It's only 5 patterns, and I mainly only trade 2 of them. So, today, you're gonna actually see me go over the same pattern in 2 different stocks and how they both worked out with a minimal risk level. One thing though that I do wanna highlight is as I go down my wins and losses, you'll see we only have 2 big losses out of the whole first quarter, and that's something that I really like to pride myself on. is the fact that we do try to keep the losses minimal. So I'm just gonna scroll down. This website, for those of you guys that don't know what it's called profit.ly. It's a website that tracks every single one of your trades, so you can record your trades. I've actually been tracking my trades on this website all the way back since 2015. So you can actually go back to 2015 and you can actually look at every single one of my trades since back then. So I'm actually just reaching new all-time highs, closing in on that 467K in profits. But the 23K how to start the quarter really helps that out and all-time highs. So as I scroll down here, you'll see there's a couple big wins. We're going to go over QNTM. That's going to be a stock that we're going to go over today. You'll see only really two big losses, like I said. But other than that, it's been a very wonderful first quarter. There's the one big loss, and that was just we got caught in a bankruptcy. So that was just an unfortunate situation. And then there's the other big loss in Bitcoin stock. Other than that, it's been a pretty great adding up the profit week by week. I think we were red about 1 week, or it might be 2 weeks, I think, total out of the whole first quarter of 2025. So now that we've gone on a small little highlight, just look over it briefly. If any of you guys want to look more into detail, you can go to Profitly. It's under Stock Snipers. You could definitely check it out. I'm always updating every single day. And on Wednesdays, I actually review my trades with the Simpler team. So for those of you get Simpler, you can catch me in the Essentials room every single Wednesday. I review my week. So I like to check out my week. I like to start from last Wednesday. So I'll usually start from last Wednesday, and then I'll go to this Wednesday for my trades. Last week we had the 13th to the 19th, 6K week. And that's where we're going to get started, because that was pretty much one of our best weeks of the year. So let's dive right in where pretty much at our weekly review. But why I wanted to dive in here is because I want to really point out that a lot of what I do is momentum based. And I like to take advantage of something called sector momentum. So this is something that you're going to learn that might be fairly new, or you've heard of it before. But the 3 stocks that I'm going to review, it's funny, they're all quantum stocks. One of them was back in February. 2 of them were this month in March. And for those of you guys that have been having a terrible month of March, that's okay. The markets have been very, very ugly lately. But I do want you to really realize that there are ways to win. There are ways to profit and find winners in these ugly times. And that's what we've actually been able to do here. So I've actually been able to do pretty well with the downward trending markets. And that's something I always like to pride myself in. No matter what it is, upward, sideways, downward, sideways, side, what kind of market we're in, it don't matter. Whatever we're in, we can profit. And that's really, really important. I always like to say this is a skill that once you have, it lasts forever. It's not going to go away. The market never disappears. Even during COVID, when everything shut down, the market didn't. So just want you guys to realize and get excited for what's ahead, especially if you're just at the starting of your trading career. All right, so hopefully this is something that you guys can learn a thing from too. If you guys have any questions, you can always catch me in the Mavericks Mastery Room in the Simpler website, or always reach out. Simpler has great customer service. So let's dive on in to my favorite win of the month, and that's going to be one that just happened. It actually happened last Friday, so not too long ago when we took advantage of this play, and that is quantum stocks. So quantum stocks are interesting because I personally actually never played any quantum stocks until the end of 2024. So quantum is a fairly new sector. It's something that recently popped up, but when it did pop up, we took advantage of it. And that's what I mean by sector momentum. So we're going to talk about sector momentum just a little bit in these quantum stocks, but the stock we're going to go over is going to be this QNTM. We actually traded it twice, so we made it a total of just over $3,400 on it. But we'll dive into the first trade, and then I'll tell you guys the second trade. But it was from 480 to 585, so pretty much a dollar, 21% in the same day, and it happened within an hour. So let's dive on in and let's talk about this trade. I'll show you a quick little review. I actually have a picture of it. Where are my pictures? I took some good pictures recently. I like to kind of chart out my stuff. And here's some good stuff here. So like I said, just over 3,300 bucks right there overnight. And it actually squeezed all the way to $8. So we sold it pretty early, right around 580, but it squeezed even more. So let's dive into the stock about it. I'm gonna bring the stock actually up to you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it side by side with another stock that I really like. And why I really like it? Because this stock was the reason why quantum stocks were spiking. So when it comes to sector momentum, you have to find stocks that have been able to spike in the past. And if I look at these stocks, most of them have quantum in their name. So if you go to the news, you'll see quantum stocks gain. You see actually quantum computing is in this stock's name. Same thing with this stock. It's literally called quantum biopharmas. So ones that you just want to keep your eye out for, especially when they all start to move together. And that's really what was happening. So I first found out about this at the end of 2024. As you can see, the stock was doing absolutely nothing at this time. And all of a sudden it woke up. It went from $1 to 27. Most people think that you only find moves from $1 to 27 in Bitcoin only. Well, here's the news flash. Small caps offer amazing opportunities. 100% overnight, 50% overnight. That doesn't mean I'm sitting there looking for that every single day, but you do have amazing opportunities. And this quantum sector is going to show you how beautiful small caps really can grow a smaller account, and why I personally trade small caps. So with QUBT, if you look at it, you got a spike that started in November 13th, and it went from $1.25 to 27.15. You had other stocks that spiked with it. QMCO went from $3 to 90. You had the QNTM that we're going to go over right now, the stock that we're literally about to talk about. Went from $3 to 18. Yeah, QUBT. It was a big list of stocks that did it. We already did that one. QBTS was $1 all the way up to 11.90, and then you have some OTCs that actually woke up too. BTQQF from 20 cents to 4.60, and then QNCCF from 10 cents to 1.70. So amazing opportunity that was all across the board during this time. We made some money during it. I'm not going to say we nailed it a lot, but if you go back to my trades, which let's see. If you go back to our trades, you'll see here that we did play some quantum stocks back when things were heating up. And our hottest time was actually just recently to close out the year, and then to start the new year. We actually went 28 for 30 on on our alerts. But that doesn't mean it was our best trade ever. Today, right now, is our best trade. QNTM, what we're going to go over. Or not ever, but this quarter. So with all of that I showed you, what you want to now know, how do I take advantage of that? So I just showed you tons of stocks that's spiking, but how do you take advantage of those stocks that are spiking? And this is how You find a stock that spikes. Usually one of them leads the. In this case, it was QBT. It started on the 11th. So if you look right here, November 11th or March 11th is when it got its first green day, is what we consider this, and it continued to spike. On this day, March 12th, it came out with news. The news actually shook up the quantum world because it said that it came out with a quantum breakthrough. If you go down to the news, you'll actually see on the 12th, it's right here. See, computer supremacy, quantum scientific breakthrough. Whatever that possibly means, it sounds very good. And I didn't think that the stock would keep going just because of what we've been dealing with the QQQ and the SPY have literally been dipping for 4 straight months. So I didn't expect quantum to continue. I really didn't, but that's what we do. We take advantage of momentum. I don't sit here and predict things. So obviously, I wanted it to continue. And when the next day it gapped up and pushed some more, I started to say, all right, there's other stocks out there that have to start moving. And what do? I open up the quantum watch list that I originally created from when quantums first started to spike back in November. And I found all those stocks that literally spiked like crazy, and all of them came down in the past couple of months and have been settling. One of the ones that I found that was high on my list was QNTM because it just spiked from 3 to 18 and then it came all the way back down to 4. So that, in my eyes, means we could spike. Now, think about it. This is the 13th, and this stock already went from 460 to 7. This is the 13th. This stock hasn't even moved anywhere yet. So that's how you start to try to find what's going to move and what's not. And you know about these. It's all about knowing what's happened in the past and doing your research and making sure you create watch lists. But that's what I do in the Mavericks Mastery, and that's what I do every single day. That's the whole purpose of having, the assistance of me. But right here, that next day, after this stock already had 3 green days, now this stock even pushes one more day, and that's actually breaking that close to breakout. That's when this stock wakes up a little bit, QNTM. So I want you to realize that this has already gone 3 days, but this hasn't even gone yet at all. And that's how I ended up making this my biggest win of the quarter. Because I loaded up here with a nice cut spot of 470. And if I go to the day, if I zoom back to here it is. It never dropped below 465 pretty much all day. So that was a perfect cut. And it exploded. Absolutely exploded. 616. And I actually was able to sell right here into this spike. And then I got a little bit as it dipped back down, and I didn't get much. But as that little bit, I sold into strength here. I wish my hindsight, I'm like, wow, I should have stayed patient. But at the same time, it did take a little bit for this full day to develop. But I really should have stayed patient with the sector momentum, the gap up. Everything was on its side for me to make more than 3,300. Probably could have made close to 8K here. But either way, my biggest win of the quarter, biggest win of the month. And honestly, in a time, like I said, overall markets are getting absolutely crushed. I mean, they've bounced the past few days, but other than that, it's been 4 straight weeks of dealing with downward momentum. And then if you look at the other stock that I'll talk about is going to be another quantum stock. So just to go into a little more detail, excuse me, about the other plays that we're going to go over, I just want to show you that we had a really big win in QNCF back in February 19th, and this was quantum. And then when quantum heated up, I came right back for it. So we'll go over both those trades. And then I did it again. This QNCCF was the same day. So we took these two stock, pretty much $1,200, the same day that we took the 3,300 overnight. So it was close to $5,000 on quantum stocks overnight solely. But I'll show you both of those trades in QNCCF really quickly. So Pulling back QBTS, you can see again the huge spike on multiple days. First, I'm going to show you just another listed one. This is another great example, QMCO. We actually bought this at 11.13, sold it the next morning at like 12 something, and then it spiked all the way to 15. But just another example of, being a little early, and then the next day when it continues, this spikes like crazy. And think about it. This is going, and if you go back to QNTM, it still didn't go yet. So that's kind of what we mean. We were just going to be ready for that moment when it did create that volume that we were looking for. And then you go into QNCCF, which is another quantum stock. And what this pattern is called the first green day. And as you can see in the past, it's followed up, meaning it's one day to the next. And that's really what we look for. And that's exactly what this stock did, one day to the next. And the first big win that we took was this one, and we went small size when we decided to do this, but it worked out perfectly. Almost, I think it was like 40% overnight. Let me see. Yeah, 44% overnight, just on smaller size there. And then the win that we took at the same exact day that we did QNTM was the same situation. The 14th, because of the big green day that QBTS had, on the 13th, the 14th, it had this huge day. And then since this one followed up with it pretty perfectly. And we were able to sell into the gap up the next morning. So 46 cents into that gap up 55. And then the day before, or the month before, was 50 cents. And this squeezed even higher to 70. And who knows? This could easily be coming back soon. So that's kind of why I have my alert set up. Because you always want to be prepared next time things are going to happen. If momentum happens again, I'll definitely notice it. Usually one stock gets either news or gets an abnormal spike, but that usually causes other stuff to happen. And we were able to not just take advantage of QNCCF and QBTS. If you go back to our Profitly and you look at 2 weeks ago, it was actually a week and a half ago. So this happened just recently, but you'll be able to see that most of our trades that we made 6K this week that we made 6K was all quantum stocks. So that's something that I want everybody to kind of point out or realize, that even no matter what type of market that we're in, up, down, or side to side, no matter what type of markets that we are in, it doesn't matter if you have sector momentum with good risk. Well, number one, it doesn't matter if you have good risk. If you have good risk level and you know what works, you always have to keep swinging, especially if it's worked for you in the past. But if there is sector momentum always triumphs a bad market. I've seen it happen so many times. During COVID, I actually had my best years ever because we had so many stocks that were hopping on COVID wagons, just saying different things in the small cap world that would attract eyes, and then the eyes would create volume, and that volume creates patterns that we play, and those patterns rinse and repeat day in and day out. And then the one thing I want to just show you before I head out here, because I'm going to head out in a couple minutes, is that if you are part of the Mavericks Mastery, I know it's going to be hard to find these stocks at first, and it might be a little overwhelming. But these plays that you are seeing right now all happen. They're alerted in the Mavericks Mastery, and I create 2 watch lists a day, every single day. And those watch lists have key resistance and key support levels for you to pay attention to and to risk off of every day. I'm not going to set yourself up for a stock that's too risky. So even though that stock QNTM spiked the way it did, look at what it looked like on our watch list. So every single day I create a watch list. This is it on the phone, but you can also pull it up as well on your computer. But if you have to do it on the go, if you're at work, you can also pull it up on your phone. So this is actually my watch list from the phone, and it's updated every day at 3 p.m. Eastern time for 5 stocks that I look to try to take overnight. QNCCF was number 1, and we made money off of it overnight. And then look what was number 2, QNTM. But what I want to really highlight and point out here is that both of these have very small risk, meaning when we got in QNCCF at 46, we were risking 45. So even though it's a penny stock, we still have only 2.5% risk. That's something that you really want to realize. Everybody usually says, "Oh, penny stocks are too risky." They can be risky, but if you have a plan and you are playing the right stocks with a plan with the right risk levels, they're not risky. I'm telling you. I mean, like I said, you got to create the plan. Anything could be risky, but with a plan in place in past history that you know has worked, sky's the limit in this game. So with QNTM, we were risking 460, getting there at 480. So not even risking 5% to make almost 100% on the upside. I'd do that any day. If you told me go stand on the side of a street corner and flip a coin, and one side of the coin will be $10 and the other side will be $100, I'll go to that street corner right now. I would log off this computer and go walk there right now. And I would just keep flipping the coin. All right. So that's something that you want to realize. Even though these seem risky at times, the Mavericks Mastery are here to set you guys up with the right stocks and the right risk to reward levels. But quantum stocks, shout out to them. I don't think they're done. So keep an eye. If you've never heard of that before, and this is something that's brand new to you, then I hope that you guys can learn maybe a thing or two just from this webinar about what the sector is. Quantum's supposed to be computing, it's supposed to be smarter than AI, it's supposed to answer questions all the way to curing cancer. So I love it. It sounds amazing to my eyes. I still think it's brand new because not a lot of people are talking about it. And that is when you want to be taking advantage of it. Once the whole world is talking about it, you're a little too late. But that's what we like to do. Be early to the party, take advantage of the momentum while it's there, and get out while it's not. And trust me, once the momentum comes back into these QNCCS and into these QNTMs, we're going to be right back in. But no, we don't need to be hanging around right now. Let's tag the bag, is what I like to call it. Take the profit and move on to the next. All right. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. It looks like we have great questions. I love that. Love it. Love it. Genius Wealth Mastery. Are you saying you get in at the close of the market and hold it overnight, and then when do you sell? Yes. So a perfect example would be QNTM, or I guess yesterday to today. We were able to buy this late in the day. It was on my overnight watch list. If you pull up my watch list, you'd be able to see that this was on there. It had a risk of 333. We bought it at 343. We look to buy it in the last hour of the day, so that's why I create the watch list in the last hour of the day. So right around 3 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern is usually when I like to buy. But I come back and I go live with my community at 2:30 p.m. So I'm live with the team trading at 2:30, but then I usually make a move from 3 to 4, sometimes a little earlier. And then I like that move to take overnight and sell the next morning. Now, what's great about this strategy is if you are under PDP, say you're under that $25,000, a lot of people would say, "Oh, I can't day trade with under that." Well, this is a great way to day trade and still be under that $25,000 rule. So you can take a trade late in the day, one day, like BBAI, sell it the next morning, and it doesn't count as a day trade. And technically, you're in the stock for a short amount of time. So with this stock, we bought at 343 yesterday, and then we sold the next morning on the big gap up using 334 as risk. So getting in at 343, we're risking 3%, very small risk. And then look at this upside. It actually hit all the way at 380, so 10% plus overnight. This no sector momentum or anything, but just a follow up in general. And you would sell that next morning. Within usually the first hour is when we like to start to look to sell. And within that first hour, oh, sorry, let me actually show you what I'm talking about. I didn't even have this pulled up. So BBAI is what I was talking about. And from yesterday to today, you can see it held 334. We bought 343. And then it ended up continuing. And then the next day you could sell. And we usually like to sell the first hour of the day. And that's how we take advantage to momentum day in and this is called the first green day to second. With QNTM, it was the same thing. We sold a little too soon, but it was just one thing to the next. But that's a great question. I am glad that you are asking that question. Love it. Does anybody else have any questions? We are not sure the QTR. Or are you asking for the quarter? I'm not sure the quarter. I think we're going to bounce soon in the market, so I'm ready for a bounce. I think great times are ahead. And for those of you guys that have been having some tough times, be ready. I would say take advantage of these slower times to learn how to get out of stocks, to learn how to cut your losses, to learn the different strategies that are out there, and then be ready because it's not too long that I think we're going to have some very, very nice moves ahead. If you guys are interested in what you guys just heard or interested to find out more about what I do, I would love to have everybody on the team in the Mavericks Street. I'm live twice a day, 9:15 a.m. Eastern until 10:30, and then in the afternoon from 2:30 until 4 p.m. Eastern, looking to buy and sell something. I actually have a special deal right now. It's a trial offer for $7 only for the full month. You'll never find that. BBAI and record. We just made 10% plus overnight in one day, and this is just $7. So pretty crazy deal. I don't think you'll ever find that. So would love to see you on the team if you're interested. If not, I'm gonna keep tagging back, and you know where to find me with the Simpler Maverick team. All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed and hope you learned a thing or two. Keep an eye on the quantum stocks. I'll just show you a quick little bonus to close out the day here is you guys can get my small little quantum sector watch list. It's not big at all, but if you want it, there's a quick little bonus there. I don't it's situational every day. So the question was, do I sell it by 10 p.m. Eastern? It's situational every day. BBAI I sold really money because I was happy with the 10%. So some stocks, if they don't make 10% yet, then I kind of wait. If they do make 10%, I sometimes sell them. Every stock situation, if they have news the day before, I like to let them spike more. But every day I like to make 10 to 15%, and I risk around 5%. But those are great questions. Those are great questions that you are bringing up, and I appreciate that. I think that wraps it up. All right, guys. Appreciate everyone for listening in, and be ready. Be on the lookout for more bags. Enjoy the rest of March Madness. The ball